During the coaching journey we just talked about, I'm sure you had a bunch of job interviews, right? What's the toughest job interview you were on during that time?
Oh, that's a good question.
Anyone just grill you on the whiteboard for a while?
I don't know if I've ever gotten really grilled on the whiteboard. The longest interview I ever had was, and a lot of people don't even know this, is when I was leaving Tampa and I had a chance to interview for the Bills. And that interview was like 2 days long. I mean, I went in there, thought I was prepared.
Yeah.
I was like 31 years old. And that interview, that was like a 2-day deal. Watching film, drawing some stuff on the board. They were calling everybody I knew. And I actually got the job. So on my resume, nowhere does it say Bills DB coach. But I got the job. And then they said, Coach Marone was the coach at the time. He said, all right, and Mike Pettin. So Mike Pettin was the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, take 2 weeks off. Our staff's gone. They're on vacation. So Gina and I went away on vacation. And then in that time, Pet was interviewing for the Browns job. So he calls me. He's like, hey, I might be getting the Browns job. I want you to come with me. I was like, I just signed my contract in Buffalo. So I was like, well, we can talk to Coach Marone. I was like, so he gets the Browns job. I fly to Buffalo, and there's like a snowstorm going on. I remember getting in the Buffalo office. All the guys I interviewed with on defense were going to Cleveland.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know anybody here. I'm like trying to find Coach's office. I go to Coach Marone. I was like, Coach, what's going on? He's like, well, Pet put in for you. I said, what do you mean put in for you? Well, he wants you to come with him, but you're under contract here. But I understand he interviewed you. He wanted you to be his guy on defense. So it's like, if you want, you can go to Cleveland. And I'm just like, what do I say to the head coach? I said, yeah, I guess I'll go to Cleveland.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know how to get out of the office. So then I got to get out of the office in Buffalo and try to figure out how to get a ride. And I got a ride to Cleveland. So I show up in Cleveland, call my wife. I pull up in front of the Cleveland office. I say, we're going to Cleveland instead. So maybe not the craziest interview, but that's the craziest 2 weeks. So then the funny part was, then I get a check like a month later from the Bills. I was there for 2 weeks. I had to pay me.
I was going to say, you got paid
so I got
to not
paid
work
for
the
2
Bills.
weeks for the Bills. So I technically coached for the Bills.
Yeah, I didn't see that on your coaching
No
profile.
one did. I forget about that story, but when you asked about interviews, it rang a bell. But I'll never forget. I didn't even know how to get out of the office. And then I had to figure out how to get to Cleveland. And then I text my wife and say, hey, forget the houses we were looking at. Yeah. Start looking at Cleveland.
How's your wife handle all that? I mean, it's like, it's a lot, right? Being a coach's wife.
Yeah, that's another. I mean, you want to do a whole podcast. We should do a podcast on some of our wives. I mean, what they sacrifice and what they give up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times when it's like, Gina, I got to go, and I get on a plane and life's good for me. I have kind of built-in friends. Yeah. Right? Think about that, where, all right, hey, you got to, with the movers, get the house boxed up, clean everything, get the kids, everyone's going to leave, and show up in a new house in a new city, make new friends, get school systems, find new doctors, start unpacking the house. Yeah. So forget what I sacrificed, what our wives in this profession have sacrificed. Yeah. I mean, that's like, you need a special woman in your life who can do that, or you have zero chance. Yeah. So now, I mean, we've been blessed going on year 5. I mean, living in the same area, that's a long time in coaching. Yeah. And, very fortunate to have that. But you could do a heck of a podcast on what wives go through.
Yeah, it's a great point.
There's a lot of, we have some coaches whose families have lived away from them for 4 years. I mean, that's hard. Yeah. It's really hard.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I should do a podcast on that.
Yeah, and you get some stories of probably some angry wives.
I've seen it all.
Some special wives and some angry wives. Yeah.